I had enthusiasm all the way.
Yeah, we just got to keep the energy. All right, guys, I'm so excited. We're in Texas this week, and we're going to kick off our little Texas deeper dive mini series by talking about Dallas, where we are right now. So how do you guys like Dallas so far? Welcome to another edition of Hot Markets, where we bring you the hottest real estate markets around the globe. Hot Markets is sponsored by the Spalia Group, where we believe in sustainable real estate investment. Whether you are a beginner real estate investor or a more advanced one with a multi-state, multi-asset portfolio, we talk about risk mitigation and profit maximization of a portfolio of real estate. Reach out to us, leave us an email, send us a message, or send us a text and tell us what's your question about your real estate portfolio that you have. And we would love to speak with you. Okay, without further ado, let's talk about this week's hot market.
I love Dallas. Every time I come back to this city, it's one of those special cities in the U.S. that really stands amongst or above the rest. It's got a great scene, great food scene, great downtown, great sports teams. It's really a fantastic city. And it's one of those cities that expands out wide. So you don't just have to stay downtown. There's so much to do around the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, it's been great so far being out here. Every place we went, it's been awesome. Excited to be down in Texas for the next week or so, hitting these different cities. So really looking forward to it. Dallas has been great. We're spending a few more days here. So.
All right. So why don't we kick this off, setting the macro stage by showing residential real estate, the price appreciation. Okay. So as you can see right here, in the last 2 years, during this COVID period, the largest 100 cities of the U.S., largest population, the top 100. So Dallas is number 20 in terms of home sales. In terms of rental appreciation, it's number 27. So it sounds like, oh, it's not that high, but think about it. It's the top 20% of the top 100 cities. And in the largest 10 cities, it's number 2 behind Atlanta. So you notice how it blows away New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, which are getting a lot of outflow as people move to less expensive cities to work remotely. Texas is an income tax free state. You see a lot of flow into those income tax free states, Texas and Florida. And Nevada somewhat too. But commercial real estate also is hot, and we can go into that a little bit. Jorel, what do you think about the hospitality scene and all that?
I think the general trend you're kind of seeing on all those cities that are growing in those was they were all places that kind of were a little more laxed on the regulations and shutdowns, especially on the small business side of things. So down in Texas, we're still actually, our hospitality scene wasn't as decimated as some of the other places. So there was a downturn, but we're definitely seeing new places come in. The old places, the gears are turning. Everything's going right now. We're back full force. So the downtown scene, no secrets to Dallas, really. It's a sports-based town first. So the downtown scene with all the hospitality groups right there. It's a big conference center as well. So it's one of the convention capitals of the United States. So there's a lot of infrastructure here. But with that, one thing we also got to look at is really the first year the Mavericks have been back kind of as a perennial on top team. So they made the Western Conference Finals this year. The Dallas Stars are doing well, and the Cowboys, hopefully it's on a rebuild, but they're the Cowboys. They're always going to draw people. But with that being said, with the conference centers and all the sports teams going on, the hard thing for me to really wrap my head around is the average nightly price in Dallas. The average hotel room's right about $90 to $100. It's actually one of the cheaper cities in the United States to vacation to, especially as, single travelers and even up to family travelers. There's still a lot the city offers, a lot of new construction, but to me, we have to really crunch the numbers if we're looking to get in the game in anything short-term rental. It's just that's a hard number to beat, especially once I'm paying you know, basically property management fees, or I'm paying cleaning people, anything like that. It's, you know, that's a hard number to beat. But I think overall, Dallas, to me, what I'm really targeting is more single family homes. That rental, you know, the rate of rental return and increase over the last 2 years has drastically gone up, as well as just overall property value. So I think there is a lot of money to be made in these smaller homes that we can do long-term rentals. To me, I'm kind of shying away from the short-term rental game unless it's the perfect investment, kind of right near one of the stadiums.
I agree, Jorel. Dallas had a huge influx in population in 2018. They grew faster than any other city in 2018. They had a major boom 4 years ago, and they've leveled off at this point. So they're not booming the way that we see other cities for that short-term return. And they're not really a city that has put a ton of money into upgrading their entertainment to really drive tourism. But we're starting to see that shift with the downtown builds of new high rises, new entertainment districts. There's a ton of new projects and work that are anticipated for 2023. There's a ton of out-of-state and out-of-country investors that are investing into Dallas and building up Dallas and the whole Fort Worth area. So I think what we want to do, if we're going to invest money today, is look long-term. But I think we also might want to start looking at some of those commercial properties, because there's a lot of commercial properties and commercial buildings that are going in. And I think there's going to be a huge increase of that value down the line. So I think if we can buy something and hold, that may be a great spot to invest in the downtown Dallas area.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you're seeing a true revitalization of the downtown. So even some of these older buildings we can definitely get into. I think commercial is a great realm to be in right now, especially with these hospitality contracts that are being signed.
I'd like to just point out, I have some concern about some risks here. Remember 2 years ago, there was a big power out that affected a huge portion of Texas, down to Austin, where it usually never gets cold. Pipes froze and burst. The ERCOT, you know, Texas is on their own electric grid, and I worry about that, things like that happening again, and it could be worse. You know, there is the climate events seem to be getting more severe. Dallas is not like Houston. It should be safe from those kind of hurricanes, but we could have another electric grid out. You know, that kind of event could happen again. What do you think about that, Allison?
I think Texas was built up very quick, and there's a lot of older historic buildings in Texas that we need to look at and remedy those situations. And I think Dallas has kind of stayed ahead of the curve from some of the other buildings that are out there in some of the other cities. Houston gets affected by the hurricanes. It's right on that belt, and it's below the sea level. So it's going to have water that ponds up and pools up. And that's where we have major issues in Houston, is with those water levels. Austin is an older city, so they've got a lot of money that's revamped Austin recently, but a lot of those buildings that had issues were not ready for that kind of drastic weather change that they got a couple of years ago. Whereas Dallas has always kind of been in that tornado alley, right at the very southern end of Tornado Alley. And a lot of the homes in Dallas are built up a little bit more sturdy and strong than the homes out of Austin and then the homes out of Houston. So Dallas has stayed ahead of that curve, but we are seeing kind of a change in the codes and in the systems out there to build a little bit better, build stronger, and build more conscientious for tomorrow. And I think we're starting to also see this trend of renewables. We're seeing a lot more solar going on buildings, a lot more solar going on new homes, a lot more solar going up in full neighborhoods. So I think that's also going to shift the way that Texas really performs on that energy grid, and shifts the way that Texas utilizes their energy ultimately.
You know, an individual and a corporate tax-free state, it attracted a lot of people moving in while the prices were relatively low. But now that we've had a lot of price appreciation, the fact that property tax is fairly high on the high end, that, you know, that could kind of subdue the further growth. I mean, at 1.93%, it's not as high as like New Jersey at 2.4, but it's on the high end of property tax. And now that prices, land and property prices are up, some people are thinking Texas is getting expensive, like on a total net basis.
You can still find values. A lot of people are flowing in the capital region. You can still find values in different places, like Dallas is the perfect example for that. Yes, property tax will be a little bit on the higher end, but one thing you do get in Texas is that your tax money actually goes to serve you. You know, overall, it's a meticulously maintained infrastructure. So that's a benefit of the high property taxes. But on an income-based level, it would still attract people from working from home. You know, these corporations, it's a good base for as well. And I think what you're going to see in Dallas is a true revitalization of that downtown, where most of these buildings are going to become mixed-use spaces. So appeal to those people working from home, appeal to these smaller startup companies as well, and then have some venues in there. But overall, I think Texas is going to continue to thrive. It's one of those things when you look at even the Texas spirit, you know, they're really a state to kind of take care of their own and push things forward. So as far as power outages and things of that nature, I think is a non-issue. And it's more so, you know, where can we really be on the forefront of putting our dollars to work in this massive state? And I think Dallas might be one of the best routes of the Texas cities for sure.
I agree, Jorel. You have to remember that everything in Texas is bigger, right? We build bigger in Texas. The hair is bigger in Texas. The cows are bigger in Texas. So your money goes a lot further. You get a lot more bang for your buck in Texas. So I can get, especially in the Dallas area, there's so much versatility to where I can buy my real estate, whether it's going to be on lakefront property, whether it's going to be a sprawling ranch, whether I'm going to have agricultural land, or I'm just going to be in downtown in a high rise in a high-end condominium. I can spread that $1 million, $2 million range in a lot of different areas and get a lot more for my money than I can in other cities around the world. So I may be paying a little bit higher on property tax. I know that my income is not being taxed, and I know that my money is going to extend a lot further. It's a lower cost of living as well. So I'm going to have probably a higher quality of life living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area if I wanted to have it as my main focus of home, or if I wanted to invest into like a second property. That's a great area to have that second property, that place to go visit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very hospitable, you know, lifestyle and attitude. And it's one of those cities that feels, you know, it has a small city feel to it. So you can have the same local haunts. You can see people that you intermingle with, people you know. You know, Dallas, I think is, to me, a no-brainer of this is one of our target cities in Texas, especially over the ones we're covering over the next week. But to me, I've had a great time every time I've been down here. Love it, love the lifestyle, love the people down here. I think Dallas is a great target city to put some money into the ground as kind of a long-term hold and play.
Dallas, like, I mean, even compared to a big city like Phoenix, it's convenient for travel and, you know, going to other cities for transportation. The airport goes overseas, direct flights to so many places. It's a real international hub.
Yeah, it's an infrastructure that just really works and makes sense overall. So, you know, the airport, it's a great, especially if you're working from home, have family elsewhere, you can shoot in, you can leave. You know, Dallas to me has a good feel of home to it. So good second location for a winter home, and also just a good place that you can feel comfortable renting these single family homes out to people.
So what do you guys think on for Dallas, to invest into Dallas? What are your thoughts?
Weather is important, which we haven't mentioned, and like Dallas is kind of hot and humid and it's uncomfortable. So I think that's something to add to the equation. It's probably the same reason why Phoenix never became like a San Francisco, like the world tech center. Everybody wants to be in perfect weather. If you can afford it, you're going to rank the better weather places.
But best weather out of all of the major cities. The only big thing that you have to deal with in Dallas are tornadoes.
Yeah, that's true.
You get major thunderstorms,
Yeah.
but it's not as humid as compared to like Houston, and it's not as hot as compared to like Austin.
Would you rather?
It's more important.
Yeah. Would you rather be in Dallas or Phoenix if it's just based on weather?
Phoenix.
See? Okay. Well, anyway, thanks.
But I think that has more to do with the layout.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what I'm doing in my time. Like Dallas is more sprawling land, bigger houses and backyards, more maintenance in my mind. So if I'm buying my personal house, probably, but if I'm making it, if I have a much higher income base, I'm moving to Dallas. I'm telling you that. It's going to offset itself. So it really just depends on the situation you're in. I like Phoenix as like a home base because the weather's always going to be great. But I think Dallas is kind of a second best to that.
Yeah. So I put a lot of value on the ability to travel easily to other US cities and overseas. And so Dallas blows away Phoenix.
Right.
In that it's just a
the bigger airport, hub. It's got more going on.
Yeah. And truthfully too, like, I think entertainment scene Dallas is probably ahead of Phoenix as well, a little bit, because you actually have these.
Is set up a little bit nicer where you can actually walk around in the downtown Dallas. Like downtown Phoenix doesn't really exist. So Phoenix is like more driving, and Dallas-Fort Worth, the whole area of Dallas-Fort Worth is set up like that where you have to drive from place to place because it's so big and massive. But the actual downtown around the stadium and everything, it's built up. I think Phoenix is behind it, but Dallas has been built up a lot nicer in the downtown area.
Okay. All right. So are you going to revise your stars or are you still 4 stars?
I'm still 4.
I think I'm still 4 too. All right. Jorel, what are you?
I'm at about 2 million and 2.5
stars.
Oh, no,
that's a lot of stars.
Deliver in the ground dollars.
Okay. All right. What's our total budget? 100 million?
It varies.
Okay.
And all
right. Well, let's give it 4 stars overall. And call it a city. And next week we're going to Austin. How about that?
Oh yeah, capital city.
And we're gonna go
2022.
I want to go to those rockabilly bars on 6th Street. Who's in?
We're there.
Okay. All right. Over and out. Take care.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you again for watching another edition of Hot Markets, where we bring you the hottest real estate markets around the globe, sponsored by the Spalia Group, where we believe in sustainable real estate investment. We specialize in risk mitigation and profit maximization of a real estate portfolio. So whether you're a new real estate investor or a more advanced one, we would love to talk to you. It's a free consultation. There's the number, there's the email. We look forward to speaking with you soon, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode of Hot Markets.